everybody, we're here with Adventures with Brenda. I'm sorry, it's been a long time. So a lot of you guys remember my first video. I had brought home a 1928 AA, it's an early, so it's an actually 1928 AR, AA dump truck from Maine. And I named him Clifford after my best friend, and he has been an adventure. Last year was just super busy. I had a very successful year as a landscaper, and I also flipped a couple of houses, and it worked out very good. We're gonna actually build another house, but for right now, we're just working on the Model A's. So in the past couple of weeks, we have been rolling out cleaning parts and priming and painting them and just getting them ready. This dump truck in particular is a complete restoration project. Everything needs to be cleaned, painted, and then reassembled. Now, I wasn't very patient this summer, and I have to tell you, the addiction got me good, and I bought two more. I have a wrecker, 1929 Model A wrecker truck, tow truck, and it runs, it drives, needs just a little bit of work, needs a wiring harness, no big deal. And then I also bought one that I call the Black Beauty, and that was a 1931 Roadster Deluxe. It's got a nice rumble seat, and that's just, I drive it. So right now she is apart a little bit. I put a new leakless water pump in, and then I brought the dump truck's radiator in to be redone. We don't know if it's a full recore or just a repair. But he told us that he's going to retire in 3 years. So we decided that we're going to take all four of our radiators to be serviced and cleaned before he retires, because we want to make sure that's done. There's nobody else locally. So with all of the cleaning, I've got a really nice sandblaster here. The problem is it takes forever. I could, a part, just a normal part, depending on how rusty it is, even with the wire brush, can take like an hour to sandblast. So I'll show you a piece that I've already done. This is a luggage rack that I got, and I'm telling you, it was all rusted over. So I decided last week to play with electrolysis, and it scared me because for 41 years I had been told that electricity and water do not mix. Electricity and water are magnificent together. You just have to be careful. So this is what I've done. I actually have let me see if I get this right. It's the top of my motor. It's where the water comes in, or the coolant comes in from the radiator and cools down the head of my motor. And it was all rusty. So those are 4 sacrificial steel plates, very thin, and they do not touch the part. And they're also connected. For safety reasons, it's insulated wire. I would not, in a million years, be brave enough to touch the metal. So unlike an electric fence, this has low voltage but high amperage. The amperage can kill you, plus it's in water. I literally have a battery charger that's connected in the wall. The positive and the negative are here in the water. So, I mean, you can already see this water was clear 10 minutes ago. You can see all the bubbles in there. That's supposed to be something like hydrogen sulfide gas or something I don't breathe. As soon as I'm done this YouTube video, the exhaust fan will come up. My tank is right below the exhaust fan, and I won't be in this room. I'll leave this all night long, and it will do its magic. So a couple of things with this. It's just an ordinary battery charger, ordinary steel connected together. So it's all tied together. When the electricity is applied here, it's able to run through the whole system. The negative is connected to the part inside in the water, the dark shadow. And again, they don't touch. It's a half a cup of washing soda per 5 gallons. I have radiant floors, so they stay nice and hot, but I also use hot water to go in there. Again, regular battery charger, but here's something I added. So I work on electronics all the time, and I can't tell you how many times I've grazed 120. It's so easy to do. So when I realized that I'm working with electricity all the time, but usually in the shop by myself, it's kind of stupid and dangerous. So I ordered these portable GFCI outlets. We have breakers, but they trip at a much higher amperage. So these here will trip at 5 milliamps. So in theory, in one cycle, in I think it's called 1 megahertz, one cycle, if there's more than a 0.05 amp or a 5 milliamp draw, this will trip. And believe me, every time I've accidentally grazed the back of my circuit boards, it tripped. Sometimes I don't even know what I did and I trip it. And I'd rather have it trip and easily reset. I mean, it's this easy. Trip and then reset. I'd rather do that any day of the week than actually risk of, what would happen if I bump my leg on that steel. I don't want to know that. But here's one. This was my old electrolysis tank. I had to upgrade to something bigger for this. Smaller parts need smaller buckets. Big parts need big buckets. You want to get the steel as close to the part as possible, but if you touch the part, you're going to short it. And that there is just good old rusty water. And then the steel, when I'm done, I'd say right now that a change of water is lasting me about 48 hours. Otherwise it gets really nasty and the plates need to be scraped. And that's like the scraping. I take a metal putty knife and scrape the plates. They will rot out. I'm expecting that they're only going to last maybe a week of steady use. But we are literally just taking parts off the truck, throwing it in there, and then quickly wire brushing them and quickly throwing them in the sandblaster. Like I said, this entire luggage rack probably went into the sandblaster for about 8 minutes as opposed to an hour. And then I'm just painting everything. Everything's primed. So it's winter. There is humidity here. I try to get my stuff cleaned and primed as soon as possible, and then it can get painted when I have time. This is our 1929 Roadster pickup. I bet you can't really see it as well as you'd like. There's my dump truck, and I know it looks like it's leaning. We just have a stock of bolts that we've got to get off. So it's just temporarily cocked until the body is getting ready to be lifted off, and then I'll sand it down, take the top off. But we're getting there. And it's amazing how much I've learned in a year. I never, ever would have thought. And then here's my wrecker. So the wrecker's 1929 also fully runs. It's fun to drive. So cute with the old attachments and stuff. And then my engine. So when I first bought this dump truck, no lie, I would have told you, engine, please run, please run, please run. Now, hey, I really don't care. I'm taking you apart and I'm cleaning every single valve, every single piston. The bores look pretty good. What I don't want to do is I don't want to get into having to babbitt the bearings. So I'm hoping the babbit's still good. That's the only thing that I'm like, please be good, please be good. I can deal with anything else. I can pretty much deal with anything that happens. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was looking in the starter was shot, the gear on the Bendex, and I was like, oh no. And then I was like, oh gosh, I hope everything inside is good. I was hoping the flywheel was good. And then I was like, you know what? I don't care. The flywheel's all rusty. I'm just going to take that out and clean it all up. It's no big deal. So this is going to be the one vehicle that I take apart fully and clean and restore. My advice, I read it over and over again. As a newbie, do not just get in there and start taking apart your truck. You'll be overwhelmed with parts. And I'll say I am so glad that I took that advice, because I started taking apart the most simplest things that you could ever imagine. I rebuilt my horn. That was my first project. And then I did my mirror and my wiper. And then I was like, So piece by piece, until my best friend, Cliff, the real Cliff, came back. And then we started taking things apart. And now it doesn't feel overwhelming at all. There's so many good books and YouTube videos that none of this is overwhelming. The catalogs from the companies are great. Every so often I'll get a part that I'll be like, I don't remember where this came from. And I can flip through the catalog and be like, oh yeah, that's right. That's where it went. I have my carburetor taken apart right now, which I'm so excited that my parts will be coming in next week. And the carburetors are really expensive. I cleaned mine in the electrolysis tank, and the brass, I soaked it in a little bit of vinegar. I did not want to use anything harsh on the brass. I soaked it for maybe an hour in vinegar, and I polished it up. All my jets are clean. It's just I realized that they have to go together and they need their gaskets. I'm just waiting for the gaskets to come in. So anyway, that's the update on my truck and my electrolysis tank. So I hope to see you guys all soon. Bye! And see you again with Adventures with Brenda, because I tell you what, you never really know. You just never know. All my friends will tell you that. Adventures with Brenda, you never know.